What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 45 of the Coffee Club podcast. The crew is back together. George got back from Eugene 2 or 3 days ago. We're all back here chilling, regathering our energy, powering up for what feels like, I guess, what is the final push of the season. We'll get more into our near future plans later, but this week I think we all will end up in Europe. By next week at least, we're all going to be in Europe, and then it's kind of all downhill from there in terms of how the season goes. I said that in my head, I meant downhill as in terms of the ball is rolling steadily, not downhill in terms of our performances. Hopefully the performances stay good / get better. But yeah, that's where we're at. But obviously this is being recorded right after the World Champs that ended, which was yesterday. So there's a lot to talk about from that. It was overall a pretty amazing thing, pretty amazing spectacle, pretty amazing event, which it always is. I think no matter what, it's always going to be amazing. So we have a lot to reflect on that. But obviously where we're going to start is with our main man, George, coming off racing the 5K. We didn't really touch on it at all last week because we knew he was going to be back here this week. So obviously, unfortunately, didn't perform the way that he wanted to. So I think we'll delve a bit into that. But yeah, how you feeling after taking some time reflecting all that? How do you feel about it?
Physically? Mentally?
Both. Everything, all of the above.
I feel pretty terrible running at the moment, actually. Took a couple of days off, went mountain biking in Oregon. Actually had a very nice couple of days away from running. Didn't tell Riz when he did some pretty much like downhill mountain biking in Oregon. It was sweet, actually, with some shuttles. It's beautiful up there. Like, actually got out of Eugene for once. Went out to Oak Ridge, Oregon. Up and coming town.
What's it called?
Oak Ridge.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ridge,
that was
nice.
racing you guys that Let's Go Brandon
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
That guy was out there for like, we were in town for like 5 or 6 hours. We got there and then like we went biking and did some random shit. And we came back and this dude with a Let's Go Brandon sign is just still on the street. He's just standing there waving.
That's impressive.
all day.
And it's a small town.
It's tiny.
What's the point? You would think you'd at least go to like Eugene or something.
I mean, he looked like he was having a great time though.
Oh, so he was just...
Yeah, he was loving it.
That's good.
And then just been running the last couple of days. Body is very tired without actually having run very much. So probably a mental component in there. Yeah, but I guess we get straight into it. And then maybe I'll let you guys have a say on your thoughts as well. I feel like I jinxed myself early on by talking about the qualifying thing with the times in Heat 1 and Heat 2 and how much easier it was.
Yeah, we could talk about that forever.
Yeah, so I got in Heat 1 after
Of course.
talking about how bad it was.
Of course.
Not that I think that made any difference in the end. And yeah, I finished 12th in Heat 1 or something. It was a real bummer.
Yeah.
Was a pretty slow race, so in a normal situation that was perfect. I couldn't ask for anything better, really. I mean, it was like 13:40s pace through most of the race, maybe something like that, maybe a little quicker, and then a hard last mile. I think the front closed in 4:02, 4:03 maybe to run 13:20s. And I knew it was slow. Like, I felt good enough to know that it was slow through half to 3K. And then at some point it was just, well, it's a weird feeling because I was just freaking hot. And by halfway, like, hot and tired, but it really wasn't that hot. So in reflection afterwards, like, I didn't know if I was like imagining it being hot just because I was like uncomfortable, or I don't know. I was out there in black half tights and black shirt, which probably didn't help. But
Cool glasses though.
yeah,
You got them on right now?
Oh yeah, I do. Black glasses too. I think that it was bright. I think that was a good decision. But yeah, I felt bad warming up.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
I was just like so flat leading into it. I felt like if you ride a bike with like completely flat tires, like running was just hard to run fast. But during the race, and then it was similar to Paris, like knowing that it was hot, but actually on the line thinking this doesn't feel that bad. Think this will be sweet. But that's just without running and just coming from the air-conditioned core room for 25 minutes, which feels pretty good. And yeah, I just like had just my skin was burning, and a few laps to go, like just super heavy arms and legs. But you know, there might have been a mental component knowing that it was probably slipping away. I mean, it was warm, but like no one else was talking about it, I don't think. So, I mean, it was 80s, I think. I feel like it really shouldn't be a factor, but it felt like it was. So yeah. It's hard to know. And like I was talking to Butchie afterwards. He just like came up to me and was like asking how it was, and I was like, "Fuck, man, did you get hot out there?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" We hot during the race. He's like, no, it wasn't bad. I was like, shit, maybe am I just imagining this? Like, am I the only one that feels this?
Yeah. Well, it's definitely warm for a 5K, but I think at 5Ks your body is operating at such a high, like, just output of energy that you're gonna heat up a lot, and it's gonna feel
Definitely.
it just feels really hard, and that probably combined with the heat, I imagine those two things kind of end up going together. And yeah, maybe other people perceive it differently. I guess maybe you perceive it as like feeling really hot or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is like even a lot of people perceive it to be hot, but can like don't let it kind of get to them, or just like have been dealing with it enough and doesn't actually affect them even if they feel hot, which I've always struggled with. Like even in Boulder, and like we did some heat training, obviously, like putting some layers on and stuff, but just for easy runs, and like workouts never felt good in the heat. I did my workout, like first workout in Eugene I did was when it was hot, when you were pre-meeting, Ollie. I don't know if you remember that. Was that hot to you? Usually we're just pre-meeting.
Yeah, I think it was hot, but it wasn't like,
Yeah.
I think Boulder was a different type of heat, and then coming into Eugene's way more like humid.
Yeah, but I mean after that first workout, which was like some 200s, some miles and some 200s, like I couldn't even cool down. Like I walked because I was so fucked from the heat.
It was also
for just like a light kind of week before workout.
It was also
I
like
couldn't even run.
The track that it was at was like there's no shelter at all. Like it was very very open, and like there's just like the sun. There's no shade at all unless you're in the tent, and the tent was hot anyway because it was just like stuffy. So it was just like a really hot time to do any type of workout, whereas like you were doing a longish like workout compared to people doing pre-meet. It's just, I can imagine it's a completely different feeling because there was like no shelter, and it was just super hot. It was like also the point of day where it was it was like the hottest part of the day, I'm pretty sure, as well. So
yeah,
it was pretty hot
we did
in
it
in that respect.
kind of at the race time though.
Yeah.
Partly in order to see what that felt like, and then did the next workout in the morning because I was like, I don't want to not be able to cool down.
I want to feel good
in my workout
into the
2
race.
days before the race.
Yeah. I think it's really hard to emulate that here in Boulder, because the thing is, like, it's not like Boulder is a cold place. Boulder is hot, but the dry heat is so different to anywhere that has any humidity, because it is, most of the time it's so dry here. And I don't think I said this to you, but you know, Ollie and our experience last year at Tokyo doing the heat training here, what we call heat training, which for those who don't know is just wearing a lot of layers of clothes for our runs. As soon as Ollie and I got to Tokyo, we were like, that was pointless. The actual humidity, I think, feels so much harder and different to heat training in clothes. It's just a different sensation. I mean, clearly people do it, and there must be I think there is science behind it, but honestly, I don't know, if I was racing in a super humid place again, I would 100% do a humidity camp before
Like,
it.
that's what I was thinking. Like Midwest in the summer would be the place to go, I think, for that type of training. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure Bauman before the 2016 Rio Olympics, they were in Madison.
Yeah, they came to Madison.
For
It was so
humidity
funny.
training. Like, and
they love altitude.
Yeah, and they love altitude. So, like, they obviously said, well, humidity training is more important for this type of experience. And hopefully, I mean, like Paris, I don't know. Paris will probably be
Could be
hot and humid. So it'd be interesting to see.
Definitely more humid than Eugene.
Yeah.
I feel like in the scheme of things, Eugene's not humid.
Yeah.
Maybe compared to Boulder.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't know. Paris, like, I mean, you've raced at Paris when it was super hot, so you kind of know what it would be like if that weather was emulated in the Olympics, if it was the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Joe and Alicia were layering up a lot, and Joe was using the sauna and like doing all this stuff. But if you're not like in it, it's just so different.
Yeah. Looking back, I don't think I would have done anything differently with that. I think there's just, I don't know, I need to figure out how to maybe just be more comfortable, even if it, like, learn to feel hot but actually be fine, as opposed to feeling hot and then maybe it does become a mental thing after that. But shit, it would be nice if it was 2 hours later. Every night, the Eugene in the stadium at like 7:30 to 8 was unbelievable. Like, nice.
Yeah.
6 o'clock in the sun in really tight, thick black half tides. Actually, I probably would have done that differently. Probably wouldn't have wore those, but the shorts are pretty much unwearable. So
Really?
Hopefully that'll be the last time you have to deal with that.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough one to watch because, well, one thing I would say, you forget. I don't know if you had this experience, but watching on TV, I'm like, shit, there's so many people in this race. Just the amount of bodies that they put in the 5K here, you forget that is it 21 or 24?
I think 21.
21.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people on the track, and I think your race, the first lap was a 68 or something, 68 or 70. It was
Probably.
It was somewhere around there. It was not fast, to say the least. And then your heat won. So as soon as you hear that, you see that, you're like, wow. So probably only 5 people are getting through, and then there's just a lot of bodies. And I did notice at one point it looked like you were more up towards the front, like early on. But then it's the classic when it's a slow race, the shuffling around where people would just keep coming on the outside, and it's really hard to navigate that because you don't want to waste the energy fighting for that spot. You either have to generally sit at the front or the back, and then if you're sitting at the back, which is where you kind of ended up, you have to make a pretty decisive move at some point up to the front, obviously. And yeah, with 21 people, it's hard. You gotta use a bunch of energy at some point to get around a lot of bodies.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It's hard. And your heat was super stacked. I mean, I think we talked about it a bit, just how good the 5K is, because you could say both. Like, you could say both heats were really stacked because there was amazing runners in both of them. But yeah, you look at that start list, if only 5 people are making it out of your heat, it becomes really, really hard.
And the top 3 ranked runners in the world were in Heat 1.
Yeah, of course. It's
not the people that ended up middling, but the people ranked 1, 2, and 3 were in Heat 1.
How is that? Don't they seed it based off ranks?
I have no clue. It might be more like season best.
Season best,
instead
okay.
of just
That
world
makes
rankings.
sense. Yeah. So, yeah, it was tough.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, probably shouldn't have been as far back, but in a slow race like that, being at the back should be pretty comfortable and pretty easy to make a move at some point. But, like, it should have felt way easier than it did, running, like, maybe 66s in the middle there. But it felt, eventually, it went from feeling slow to, like, just being exhausted, and couldn't run much faster. Even though it should have been a pretty perfect situation with kind of a fast couple of last laps.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. The 5K is a brutal event. Never feels good. But, I mean, now you're taking it. You took a couple days off after, right?
Mm-hmm.
Taking it easy for a little bit. Getting ready to go out to Com Games in a few days, so you can be back out there. And the Com Games is a very different experience. A lot of the same really good athletes, but only it's a straight final, so that makes it so like super different dynamic, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who goes, because Uganda and Kenya are both in the Commonwealth, Canada, UK. No, it's going to be good to turn a page. That's on the 6th of August for both Ollie's 1500 and my 5K. So, yeah, looking ahead for that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was tough to watch, but it's like, I don't know. It was the first outdoor world champs for you, 5K. So, you just got to take what you can and work on and improve. I mean, I think we'll say this a bit throughout this podcast as we reflect on stuff, but the reality at the pointy end of this sport, which is what the world champs is, everyone has essentially the same goals. Everyone wants to make the final, and then they want to be top 8 or top 5 or medal, and there's just not that many people that end up getting to do it. So it's always like, the reality is most people leave disappointed if you think about it. So we'll get more into that, I guess, later, but we do. So the men's 5K final was then on yesterday, and it was such an amazing race. I think, the field for that race has to go down. Like, Ollie, you were telling me before the accolades of everyone in it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the 10,000 meter Olympic champ, the 5,000 meter Olympic champ, 10,000 meter world record holder, 5,000 meter world record holder. You have the 2-time defending world champion.
Yeah.
You have pretty much most of those men in there could probably run 1240s.
Yeah.
And it's just stacked, and it's also stacked with guys with experience. Like these aren't guys that just popped up yesterday. These are guys that have been around since probably 2016 onwards. So when you look at the field like that, it's pretty special to see that unfold. And yeah, as a fan of the sport, it was incredible. And particularly, which I was very impressed with, when we were watching the final here, you could hear the crowd. Very, very
crowd was
distinctly.
electric last night.
Very electric, very loud. And that's what was amazing, because, I mean, the span of 11 days, the championship, long time, I was already sick of track.
Yeah.
But one of my two favorite events to watch was the 5K final and the 800 women. We're on the last day. So, like, it really revamped it. And it was great to see that much noise being put into that race, because it was probably one of the best fields that we've seen in the 5K at World Champs, and it was an incredible race to watch, really.
Yeah, the way it played out was really cool as well.
Yeah,
I think, and it is special. I don't know how real this is for the people of Eugene, or if they just play this up on social media. But the 5K is Pre's event, So I think racing the 5K at Hayward Field is it's pretty cool.
Pretty special.
It's, that's where he would do it. It's like legendary there. But yeah, the way it played out with, I'm pretty sure chapter guy
took the lead, made it on a 62 first lap.
Yeah, slowed down a little bit. I think
down.
The Kenyans came through and they wanted to do some teamwork, but they couldn't. I think it was a little bit too hard for them.
Yeah, I think it did seem like they were out of their depth a little bit, which was surprising because of how stacked they were. They didn't seem as controlling of the race as you'd expect. We'll get into because we've got our favourite performances of the meet. They all raced in the 5K, so we can get into that.
Yeah, may as well get into it.
We can get into it now. I mean, my performer of the meet is Jakob.
Yeah.
And pretty easy pick, but for me particularly, watching and knowing Jakob through the stages of the 1500, the amount of pressure that was on him to perform, he was obviously extremely disappointed he didn't win the 1500 meters. He made a mistake, he said, for taking the lead too early and not doing anything with it, and he felt like he was better. When you don't hit a goal like that, particularly for a guy that's an Olympic champ, I know his confidence is like through the roof, but you would get a dent in the ego a little bit. Like you would feel a bit like, oh shit, like I didn't win. Like you might have like a very split second of doubt. I don't think he had that at all.
Yeah.
He was just so confident and so like precise with like who he is and what he can do. And like it's hard because like you can't really teach that. I think it's just years of him being at the top. And like, I mean, you mentioned this morning, Morgan, about 2019 World Champs when he took the lead with 300 to go in the 5K, and then he just died and got 4th or 5th, fell over the line.
Yeah.
Like, he's been there and he knows what it is, knows what it's like. And watching his 5,000 meter heat was just pure.
So cool.
It was just really, like, the way he stood in the line, looked like he was just going for a troll. Hyping up the crowd with Luis, like it was great. And then he was just joking around with the media afterwards. And then you watch the 5K final and you think, okay, he's gonna be more serious, he's gonna be more in tune. He goes out in lane 5 to get 2 cups of water in 2 laps.
Yeah.
He's also revving up the crowd. He's just fooling around, and then he just looks incredible. Like
it's hard not to root for him at that point.
Oh, he's so cool, man.
What a way to get the crowd behind you.
Yeah, he's great he's just so good for the sport. He really is, because like, he's entertaining. And I'm not going to say, because I think people get upset if I start comparing to Usain Bolt, but I think he's going to create a kind of image in the sport now that could be not like Usain Bolt. I think he's really such a entertainer in this sport now, because when we were watching it, he took the lead with about a K to go, or 2 laps to go. I think it was 2 laps to go. And I thought he took the lead too early because of what happened in the 15. I thought, oh, he's got Borrega behind him, he's got Cheptegei behind him, he's got Grant behind him. Like, he's got these guys that can kick. And I'm not saying Jakob can't kick, but these guys they know how to close down races, particularly in 5Ks. And the way he defended the straights, and he came through and won that race, I think was probably, for me personally, the most impressive and inspiring race. Because like, to come off a defeat in the 1500 for him is a defeat, to win the 5K and to win it very, very distinctively is a very, very cool like achievement at a 21-year-old. Beating that field, beating those guys, world record holders, Olympic champions in that event. Like, it was so sick to watch, and the way he did it too was just this is classic. Yeah, it was my favorite thing.
It was not even close at the finish line. It wasn't even close. Like, obviously he had his McSqueeze over the last lap.
Squeeze, and he wanted it. He wanted it, and he finished, and you couldn't help but feel, like, for me personally, like, he's a competitor, but I couldn't help feel satisfaction for him. Because of what he went through in the 15. Like, I just couldn't... it was just great. It was just really good.
The reality is, for a guy like him, obviously everyone's like, oh, he's a 1500 guy because he just won the freaking Olympics in the 15. But I think you could argue he's just as good, especially if you're talking about pure championship setting in the 5K.
Well, he's world champion now. So
yeah, he's
literally the world
champion.
At the 5K. The dude raced 2 events. He ran 3 rounds to the 1500, 2 rounds to the 5K, and he finished. His worst finish was 2nd at a world championship in 2 events that are probably the most deep events. Like, it's just...
I think he could win the 10K if he wanted to.
Yeah.
I think he could have gone 10-5.
In a championship race, yeah.
I think he could have gone 10-5
I think he could have won the steeple. I mean, the dude could do anything.
Elbakal is pretty good.
That's a reach.
Elbakal is pretty good, man.
It's pretty powerful.
I mean, he did. You know, Jakob's first world chance was steeplechase.
Really?
2017.
Damn.
Yep. He was probably like 12 years old.
Do you know what I was thinking when you were just rattling off those names before, though? Who wasn't in that race? Would have been good to see Jakob race? Is Jakob versus Mo Farah.
Oh my god.
That would have been... Well,
now we're talking all time.
We were talking about it...
Like, that would have been...
At the workout this morning. Because Mo would close races in like 51 seconds. Bekele too. Bekele at his form.
Well, yeah. I think it's hard to go back to Bekele's time because that was definitely just a different era.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff that they were doing then is slightly different to what we do now. Yeah. I don't think it's like... I mean, I guess the thing is the world record holder is there right now, but he doesn't race in the way that Bekele was able to race.
No,
I don't think. But
Bekele was an amazing championship racer.
The guy looks human at least.
Yeah. That's the weird thing.
Bekele didn't.
Bekele looked untouchable.
Yeah.
And the way Jakob won that race reminded me of Mo Farah, like controlling the race, and just no one could get near him. 400 to go. It reminded me of London 2012. Except in London 2012, I'm pretty sure Mo closed like a 50 or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know how fast their last laps were, but Mo would do the same thing where he would normally take it. Actually, I think Mo has taken water in races before as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure he would do that, actually.
I think he would do that as well, and then he would take it with...
And he would wave to the crowd.
Yeah.
And he was like a huge crowd favorite. That would have been like 2 crowd favorites.
Yeah.
Shit, I would love to see that.
Nah, I mean... Jakob,
there wasn't room for both of them.
no, he just
They
just
can't
wouldn't
exist
work.
in the same
Yeah.
same setting.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
But yeah, I guess looking back on it now as we reflect, it's the 5K was probably just overall the performance. I mean, we're very biased, but probably the race in the
yeah.
meet, just all the storylines of the different people in it, because George and I, both of our like most notable performers of the meet come out of the 5K as well, because it was like it was just so cool. I mean, the person who I thought had, I'm not going to say he had the best meet, because obviously I know like Jakob had a better meet or whatever, but most notable to me was Grant, and his story is kind of tragic because if you watch the race, you would know that
It's like Shakespeare.
with just 100 to go, he got clipped, and it seemed like, I think we got to go back and watch the tape. It seems like Mo Ahmed, his teammate, is the one that clipped him. I think Grant there was like the canyon in front of him, and I think Grant coming into the final stretch was running a bit faster than the canyon, but he was kind of on the inside of him, so he was trying to move out a bit to go around him or whatever, but then at the same time Mo was putting in his final surge behind him and going around as well, and whatever happened, Grant, he didn't fall over, but he almost fell over. He caught himself, but he was clearly gassed after it happened, and it looked like Grant had he'd raced it super well in terms of conserving energy, staying near the front, and I thought he was going to medal for sure. And if he had pulled off that, getting the medal in the 5K and then coming fourth in the 10K, that's you're looking at just one of the best distance runners in the world right now. And I think you can still say that about him just based on his accolades, but it's like he deserved that medal, I feel like, and it's just sad. It's tragic to see it taken away. I mean, we also said this morning, we got a lot of championships on the way or leading up to Paris, so hopefully he's able to get it done. But I don't know, you never know what happens in this sport when you're in that shape, and you got to try to take advantage of it, and he was about to do that, it looked like, and then he slipped away.
Yeah, I think no one would say he didn't deserve a medal, because both of them, like in the 10K, he was moving the best with like 50 to go. His timing was just like fractionally off, and then in the 5K it actually put himself in the right position, and then it was hard to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, he's so good. He has the times now. I would love if he went and raced a really good 5K. I guess the thing is, the Bauman guys, they set up better time trials than anyone else in the world, so
They have Hayward Magic now.
yeah, they got the Hayward Field on their side.
Tracktown
So,
USA.
Someone said he was going to Brussels to run a 5K.
oh, he is. So hopefully it's super quick, because I feel like he's probably gonna run some big American record.
You would think so.
That should be
Unless
cool.
Klecker gets it first.
Yeah, well, hopefully Kleck is in Brussels as well.
Yeah.
True.
That'd be sweet.
That'd be a good matchup again.
Yeah, so Grant, we love you. We know you'll get it done eventually, but yeah, we think you deserved it, and I think
Sincerely, Coffee Club Pod.
yeah, we'll sign off there.
That's the letter we're sending him to his new Eugene address.
Yeah, but the other big one, George's notable performer was, with no surprise.
Mine has to be biased
Yeah,
towards you boys in the 5K. Luis getting fourth was ridiculous. He was in 9th place with 110 meters to go, maybe.
was he really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize
And
that.
then, like, he was on the back of that pack that broke away, and there was, like, I think there was 9 people in it. And outleaned Mo for fourth, but less than a second behind third, I think, which is just crazy. He ran 13:10 again. That's what he ran in Tokyo to come 12th, maybe?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Like, his best 2 races ever of just both, like, Olympic final and now world final. Shows up at the right time, which
Yeah.
is impressive to see, because honestly, his start of his outdoor season, like, he wasn't, I don't think you'd mind me saying, he wasn't running very well. I went to LA and ran a kind of mediocre 1500 at Mount Sac, and then I think he was sick at pre, but kind of mid 1330s at pre. Oslo, again, like, solid 13:18 or something, but well off the pace of the race.
Yeah,
And then, I mean, he was coming on though. Stockholm started to look better and better. He was with that 7:30 group with a lap to go, and then just the worlds, and the timing's freaking money
yeah.
to just be in shape to go. And he said he was like feeling amazing, and shit, he runs well when it's hot. very well in Tokyo, and then
Really?
yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think many people would have picked him to come fourth based off the season he had. But if you watch the
guys
heats,
who medaled probably are all 12:40 guys. I don't know about Chilimo, but Krop is 12:46, Yaku's 12:47, Luis is 13:10 guy, and he's right next to them.
Yeah, he should go run quick as well.
He'd look great in the heat, so is that what you were going to say?
That's what I was going to say. As soon as the heats, the way that he performed in the heats, how comfortable and good and confident he looked like he was just having a great time out there. And so after that, because it takes a lot he was in the second heat, and I think the pace lagged for just a little bit, and he was just like, screw it, and he just dropped the whole field for a little bit to have the to have the confidence and the ability to do that, because the 5K you generally don't feel that good to just be like, oh, I'm just gonna drop the field and keep the pace going. That definitely showed he was feeling pretty good.
He went like 5 to 6 laps to go. He was like just clearly in front, and then they eventually caught him. But the thing is, he didn't like fall off. He went again, and then he was right
freaking
behind
celebrating when Jakob.
I think he was fourth. Was he fourth or third? Or
he was top 5.
He was top 5. Yeah,
Maybe
he got the Q.
I think third in that heat.
He got the big Q.
Yeah.
But he was in a great mindset, but also to do that in the heat, particularly in the heat that was also, I mean, both 5K heats were stacked, but to do that, it just showed you that he's ready for the final. Like, really, it just showed you that he's going to be a player in the final. And he ran it like so well in the sense of just staying on the inside, staying out of trouble, and just like really just staying relaxed. Like, him and Grant ran the race tactically really well. Obviously Jakob did too, but the moving around from the outside, you could see it just going back and forth, and Luis was in the same spot. He just wasn't, he's just chilling.
Yeah, I don't know how he did it. That spot just on the inside, like 2 or 3 people back.
Yeah.
He was just maintaining it. People would come around on the outside, and he would, I don't know if he was passing people on the inside. I think I saw him do that at least once.
Yeah. He was just holding it.
He was just finding his way back there.
And then I think with the last lap to go, like, people got past him, but he didn't stress. He waited.
Waited till
the
last 100.
Made that aggressive move, and it got him fourth. Like, the dude he literally seemed like a seasoned racer. Like, he's done it before. That's what it looked like. He's been there before.
Yeah.
In a World Championship final. It really looked like he was seasoned and a veteran at it, and that's like such a pretty amazing achievement to do.
It's also pretty epic for Central American distance running.
Yeah.
Which there aren't a lot of them.
Representing Guatemala.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone probably knows his story, how epic it is and all that. So every time, he's doing a lot of great stuff.
He's hashtag good for the sport.
He is indeed, yeah. And we love him. And he went to NAU, so good for Mike Smith.
I mean, I don't love him that much because he didn't join our team, but
seems to be going alright.
Yeah, I mean, I would say up before the World Champs, I was like, Luis, you should just come and join our team. And now, after World Champs, I'm thinking like, yeah, he's probably fine.
Yeah, he probably made the right call there, I guess. I don't know. No, I mean, he's so talented. He'd probably do well no matter where he was.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, and he probably maybe he knew he wasn't going to be running that well early in the season. Like, I know he was running so much, and he was probably just wrecked all the time.
Just training super hard.
Yeah, just like 110, I don't know, miles a week. Like after indoors, like maybe during those first outdoor races. So he's getting ready for the big one.
Well, that's the thing, and I think the next thing that we want to talk about is reflecting the OAC performance as a whole, because you see athletes like Luis who, well, I'll take a step back first. Obviously, the World Champs is the number one priority for everyone in the sport, and it's not as simple as just that. You got to qualify and all that, so there's a lot more to it. But you see athletes like Luis who are able to perform so well at the World Champs and go above and beyond what their other season performances are, and you look at that and you're like, that's what I want to do. That's amazing. I mean, obviously you want to crush all the time, but athletes like that, it's like they got it right. They got their priorities right for the season. They peaked well, both physically and mentally, for when it counted most. And there were a few people like that. I think a big one that I thought of was Mo Katir as well.
True.
Yeah, he looked pretty, I don't want to say average. He looked amazing still, but not nearly as good as he looked a year ago. And a year ago he didn't do well in the Olympics, and then this year he got a freaking medal in the 1500. So, like, that's what you want to achieve. And I guess the OAC, like, we didn't quite do that. I think Joe performed like up to his standard, but then everyone else is a bit disappointing. And Dathan has obviously taken that pretty hard because he takes things very personally. And I mean, I think everyone's taking it a bit hard because the bar is set so high by this team because the team crushes so consistently. But I think times like this, it's like, all right, well, I guess we're not perfect.
You definitely want to be someone, well, like you said, that shows up at Worlds, and maybe that's the only time. But then, in an even more perfect world, you'd be like Jakob. You can break world records in January, and win world champs in July, and maybe win the Diamond League in September. Like, and run freaking. Did he win European cross?
Yep.
Yeah. What,
he won it very, very convincingly.
Yeah. So,
very convincingly.
Like, that's one way to do it. You just good all the time. Doesn't matter. And for us, we didn't get that right. And that's definitely, I don't know if you guys, we made a big point of that in college. We always talked about, Mike would call it like setting the tone earlier in a meet, or like, especially during cross country, you know, those B races before like the big races, like we were always like pretty invested in those guys running, because even if your B guys have like a good day, you're like, hell yeah, like the team's good to go. Or like in a few day meet, the people who are up first are like crushing. It's like, yeah, sweet. And
so what you're saying is it's my fault because I pulled out of the race on Friday, which led to a cascading of negative vibes.
We did say that was going to set the tone for world champs.
We did say that.
I forgot about that.
I was going to sweep that under the rug, but now that you bring it back up, it's all my fault.
I actually forgot. I wasn't going to say that.
God damn it. God damn it.
Morgan.
Yeah.
It all comes back to that.
The whole time it was me.
Yeah. It's hard being at the end watching, like, Alicia was heartbroken after her race, and she never feels bad. And I always think Ollie is like superhuman. Like, he's the most consistent runner I've ever met in my life. It pisses me off. But watching him
fail.
I was trying to find a better word than that.
I mean, it's the word I use.
Like, that was
it's the word I use.
We all took that especially really hard, like the team did.
Yeah.
Not that we were relying on you for all that.
No.
But we were very excited to watch Ollie.
Yeah,
and that was hard for everyone.
It is tough.
And then I have to, then the team's like, maybe, something seems a little off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think.
What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are this, and I keep emphasizing this as well in positive and negative ways. Our team is pretty young. I know I keep saying that, but what defines you as particularly in this sport as an athlete that's going to be successful, is that it's how you take the lows. Because every career, whether it's not winning world championships for them, getting second, that can be a low, and it's how athletes respond to the downs that will lead to the ups and even greater achievements down the road. And I think particularly for us, we've had so much success, we've had a lot of consistency, but I'm not saying it's bound to happen, but it usually happens in your career. There might just be a really bad, shitty meet, and it was world champs. And Dathan took it pretty personally, but I think it's a really big opportunity for us to grow and to learn from it. Particularly for me, looking at Alicia, she's somebody that's been crushing it like every week, back-to-back weeks. And you look at her result, she obviously was extremely disappointed in the way she's been running. She should have been doing a lot better. But I don't doubt a little bit that Alicia is absorbing as much of the information that she can get from her experience and using it to the next one. And I know Joe will do the same, even though he reached a goal. Being top 10 in the 10K was something that he really wanted to achieve. And I know for you and I, not being able to make the final and put a dent in those events was brutal. But for us, like, we know this feeling and we never want to feel it again. So how do we learn from it and deal with it? We just got to grow and absorb the failures and really just get hungry and go after it again. Because if you look at other people, like Jakob, for example, I know like it's not really a failure to get 5th at World Champs in the 5K, but I'm sure he wanted a medal, and he probably looked at that 2019 championships as like, right, the next global meet that I have, I'm going to make sure I do everything right and focus on getting better every year, every week, every day. And he did. And that's the type of athlete that I want to be. And I know this team has a collective, like the collective of athletes in this team have the exact same mindset and will have the exact same push forward. So our first world champs wasn't what we wanted, but we have so many opportunities down the road that's going to be pretty exciting to see people progress, because I do believe that we'll take this in our stride and progress it to the next one.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it as like a learning experience.
Yeah. Well, that's how I think it will be. I think that's especially how Dathan will take it, and I think there is a balance, but I think at some point, you just realize that World Champs isn't the only thing that matters, or whatever the global championships is for the year. It's not the only thing that matters, but I think once you've ticked the other boxes, it becomes more and more important. For example, yourself, Ollie. You've run 3:47. It's like you can run. No, but I mean, like, you obviously you wanna you still have goals in the 1500. You want to keep running fast. You want to break the Australian record and everything. But what's Gus going up at?
Gus. What's he doing?
I don't know.
He's a lady.
He's just saying hello.
I'll cut this out.
I think I know what you're saying. Like, time trialing starts to have less meaning once you've already run 3:47.
Yeah, I think it's like you've ticked that box. It's like, whoa, what's next? Like, it's like win a world champs medal or bust type scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all that matters. So then your season, I mean, maybe won't change like a lot, but you'll make slightly different decisions based on slightly different goals, I guess. So, yeah.
Do we want it to always have that emphasis? Like, I don't know.
The emphasis on...
Yeah, that's
like
why I'm saying. That's why I said it was a balance.
year.
That's why I said it's a balance at the start, because it is.
Like, I'm not convinced that...
It's not the only way to do it.
I'm not convinced that's the only way to have a season.
No, because, okay, look at, for example, Kate Grace. I think she's a great example. She didn't make the Olympic team, and that was like the one thing, right? Everyone was like, "Gotta make the Olympic team." Her career, like her season after that she was crushing. She was crushing, and she was like just running these races and like those performances, and then to the Diamond League final, finishing third. I think she was third in the Diamond League final.
Something like that.
Like, she was just obviously like she didn't hit her main goal, but it was still a really good season for her. I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe obviously I'd have to hear from her personally. I can't just say that without her having her opinion on it. But like, to be able to respond after not getting a goal that was very important in the year, to keep crushing, to keep racing and perform well, I think that's like important too, because you learn as an athlete that you gotta take those hits and keep moving forward.
Yeah, I don't think you should ever be defined by one race, but I'm more just thinking your mindset slightly changes, and so maybe you choose to not go to like one certain race that you would have taken advantage of that opportunity at a different point, but now you might say, no, I want to stay and train through this, which is what obviously a lot of people criticize Bauman for, but at the end of the day, you know, their system is very effective at producing people that can compete at the World Champs. So, yeah, I don't think you have to go full like that, but I think there's obviously something to that. And we've said that before. Like, there's a reason they do it, and there's reasons they're successful. But also their system. Jerry's been a professional coach for I don't know how many years now, probably 15.
2009.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, something like that. And it's like Dathan has only been a pro coach for
2 years.
So, yeah, and Dathan is so committed and so passionate. So things are probably always going to be slightly changing, and he's going to be growing. He's probably going to be coach until he's 100 years old. And
he's still going to be running diagonals.
Yeah, he's still going to be running.
Seven stopwatches.
So, yeah, I think you expect things to slightly change year to year, you know? So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how things change next year. But obviously, I think everything's going to change for the better.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, we're all individuals. That's maybe something that's different to Bauman, is like, I think they have a slightly more of a one-size-fits-all. I don't mean that in a bad way necessarily, because I think everyone that joins the team knows what they're signing up for and they committed to it, and that makes it simple in some ways. But I think we'll always be more individual than they are. But yeah, I'm interested to see how it plays out.
We have different sizes.
Yeah, we got a lot of different sizes here. But so in kind of closing on our World Champs talk, we spent a lot of this year bashing on Eugene, and it all led up to this beautiful meet. We got to witness last night the Team USA jerking themselves off, giving themselves a medal which doesn't exist, a trophy rather, celebrating on the field together.
It was honestly, because we heard when World Champs, like they announced everything that they were going to do the first time ever they're doing a team championship, and it's this classic like American thing of, okay, we're going to have it in America, let's do a team championship because we know that no one's going to compete against us.
Yeah, does USA ever not win it?
No, they have like
They must always win.
the amount of people they send is ridiculous.
Not
Like
since like East Germany and
yeah,
That's
or
what
Russia
they
or
were the
some
most
shit.
successful country since East Germany in the 80s.
Yeah.
Or something.
Tell
Like
you
it's
something.
ridiculous. Like, and this is funny because then I saw a tweet from the World Championship Oregon 22 Twitter account saying, "It's been said, folks, best World Championship ever." And then I
Yeah.
just see the comments of
course they're gonna
saying,
say that.
if people are saying that, why are the stands still not full?
Yeah.
Because that's the problem.
Well, I think the stands were pretty full.
But they
They
weren't
pretty
full.
full.
They were.
They
They
pretty
weren't
full.
full. Morgan, they weren't full.
I think they were pretty full.
They weren't full. Access to the stadium wasn't as good as other major
Yeah, I
World
see what you're
Championship
saying.
meets.
Yeah.
I'm not dissing that Oregon didn't do a great job. That they did actually. They exceeded my expectations. I think they did a great job. I thought they did I didn't like the medal thing, where they gave everyone a medal straight away.
No, I like that.
I didn't like that.
I
at
thought
all.
that was a positive.
No, I like the ceremony because I
They
like
did
the
the ceremony as
anticipation.
well.
Yeah, no, but I don't want to see the medal until the ceremony, until they get on and then they have the medal, like the realization.
You
there.
know, it was a different medal.
What?
It was a different medal, I think. The one that they gave them to run around in.
Oh,
And
really?
Then they would give them a different one, like a
Oh.
real one on the. I think.
I didn't know that.
I think it was just for show.
I just don't like that.
I thought it just added to the excitement.
I think
Your
it was
victory
good.
lap.
You've been outvoted.
Yeah, well, I still stand by the tradition of like you win and then you stand there, we do a flag in the background, your
Which
national
still
anthem's going to
still
happen,
happened.
and you stand up and you get your medal for the first time. There's no like just rush, put it on.
I hate that part. I talked about this 2 weeks ago.
I love it. I think it's
How
really
boring
cool.
it is.
Yeah.
Needs more champagne.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
yeah,
don't
put
know.
champagne on the podium. Like the podium is important, I think, and then putting
Well,
the
they still
medal.
did the podium.
Yeah, but doing the medal earlier it just ruins. I feel like it defeats the purpose.
I thought
Personally,
I thought it
I've
added to
been
the
outvoted. Anyway, I thought.
Clearly,
As-
a lot of people saved up to go to this one.
Yeah, I know, and it was great to see that. It also kind of, I did love the USA chants.
Of course.
USA,
Of course.
USA, classic.
No surprise there.
But the team championship thing, a lot of bollocks, like
Yeah.
absolute bullshit. Like I think they get prize money for that, so that goes straight back into the USA.
Yeah, we didn't know who gets that bonus.
Yeah, who gets it? Like, does Phil Knight get it? Like,
We just go straight to him.
just go straight to Philly?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's how that works. Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was bullshit. Like, yeah, team championship, we're the best team in the world. It's like,
They got a giant medal.
Yeah.
This big.
There's no way that's happening.
you know
again
what they
next
should
time.
do? They should
It's a
do it.
one-time
They
thing.
should do it off ratio of people, of population. If they did that, New Zealand would have won.
GDP.
Actually,
Yeah.
Oh,
New
no,
Zealand would
Australia
have
might
won.
have
Per cap-
won.
per
Australia would have
capita,
won
I mean.
actually.
Australia
would
might
have
have
won.
won because we
We medaled.
did
Three
pretty
We
medals.
actually
well.
got no. We did bad.
We had
we
three
had a lot
medals.
of people per capita.
Yeah.
yeah.
Bad medal tally per capita.
Okay.
Australia did well.
World Athletics is definitely watching this right now. So this is my
Seth Curry's
thing.
probably
Don't
watching
do
it.
that shit again.
Change the 5K.
Change the
Qualification.
5Ks and qualifications as well. That 5, 5, and 5, complete garbage. World Athletics, listen to me right now. When you do the team championship thing, do it per person of
per
medal.
capita.
Per
So
capita.
per capita, yeah.
Medals
So,
per capita.
so do that. Don't do it for a country that has
Good, Jamaica would
four.
do really
yeah,
well.
Jamaica would do very well. Jamaica would
Jamaica
probably
would
win
win every
Or like
time.
Bahamas,
And you know what?
like
Yeah,
with Miller
they
Webb.
win
She only
every-
needs
every
like 2
time.
medals.
They win every
You
time.
know what, guys? Rightly so. Like that's a team championship because they're dealing with a population like a country like the United States. It's so big. It's just not fair.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's a lot
that's
of
my
factors, but
my talk with World Athletics. Lord
It-
Coe, get onto that, please.
It was just funny.
It's just
Yeah.
stupid. It's just suck me off the USA. No offense to the USA people listening. I know like it's a
We
great
love you.
achievement, but like and the sweeps were fantastic and they did an incredible job. I'm not dissing the athletes. I'm dissing that system, giving them that team title. I think it's just pretty pointless.
USA, did win the most medals of ever.
Oh, ever?
Which is- that was
Yeah,
the most
it was.
medals ever won by one country.
Okay, they can have this team championship.
Yeah,
the
they
next
can-
one, though, they should do the capita.
Yeah.
The next one, they should do the capita because it's not fair. No one can compete with them.
Yeah.
They're just gonna get all that money
Yeah.
all the time, and then there's
I want to talk to the person who organized it so that with the most ridiculous timing that right after the last event finished, Mondo gets one more shot at the world record and is the only athlete in the stadium still going. Whoever scheduled that for him to break the world record
okay.
as the last performance of the meet. Person's a genius.
You gotta get a
actually.
raise.
That person's
That was
so
amazing.
smart.
That was,
Did
that was special.
Mondo make out with his girlfriend?
Oh, he did.
yeah.
It was
Oh,
a big time.
a
It was
lot of
big time.
It was time.
This is. Let me tell you. Let me tell you, Ollie. Breaks the world record, does a front flip straight to his girlfriend. Big make out. It was perfect.
Is there time involved?
Yeah.
So
dude.
much.
See, that's what water athletics needs. Just some mondo making out.
That's
More
what
of
track
that.
and field needs.
More of
World
that.
records, front flips, make out.
Well, to be fair, Jakob also didn't make out with his girlfriend. Gave her a nice little
it was more of a pick.
little
bit
kiss,
more dignified.
little kissy kiss.
Yeah. Good
Which
to see.
you know,
Love wins.
maybe love wins. Maybe we need.
At the end of the day,
Love wins.
love was the real winner in Eugene.
Yeah. So, no, that was the timing of it was amazing to end the meet on for specifically everyone in the stands. I think for USA to win both the 4x4s in pretty dominant fashion, which I'm pretty sure they always do. I think.
When they're gonna do a DMR?
And then for Mono to come on and set the world record, couldn't have it any other way.
If they can start the meet with a mixed bloody 4x4,
Who's decided
Yeah,
that?
that's
they
bullshit.
can put a DMR in.
They should start the meet with the DMR. That would be so sick.
The demo would
The
be
mixed,
a great
the mixed
event.
4x4 is not even the mixed 4x4 anymore because now there's a set order. You have to go like
Oh really?
man, woman, man, woman. So
I
there's
didn't
not
know
like a girl racing a dude, which was like kind of entertaining
That was
sometimes.
pretty crazy to see.
Yeah, that event sucks.
Who-
We should get rid of
I
that.
don't understand why the DMR's not in there because we have Lord Coe as the president. Surely
he
he
should
would
be
want
fighting
like
for
more of a
us.
distance relay there.
And like, there's already 2 freaking 4x4s. Why do
Yeah.
you need another one?
You can just take the results of the last one. You can
Oh, wait,
easily
they-
tell.
they-
that
I
if
know
you
why they have
combined
that.
the winning women's 4x4
Well,
and the
actually,
winning men's
though,
4x4.
They had the mixed 4x4.
Because then USA didn't win the mixed 4x4.
But
which
they
is
had
crazy.
Oh yeah, but they could have.
They
If they
could've.
wanted to, they could have.
They
Easily
had the
could've.
mixed.
That's even why it's a worse event. They didn't even try it.
No,
It's
but they had the
actually
mixed
true.
4x4 for Alison Felix, so she could medal.
That's true.
They had it for her
just for her.
because then she could retire with another medal.
They'll get rid of it now.
Even though like she's probably have like 500,000
Dude,
medals.
you can finish like 15th at USA's and make one of those relay teams. With the amount of 400
and
runners
do you get
there
a
are.
medal still?
Yeah. I don't know how they do it, but
You probably
sweet,
do
bro.
still get a medal.
think about how many 400 runners are in the Team USA hotel. We're like, just so many.
A million.
It's crazy.
I mean, good on them.
Yeah.
Good on them.
Good for America.
Good for America. Good for the greatest track fan base in the world is US according
to
to
the US.
according to the US. So, congratulations. Budapest is going to be next.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
13 months away.
be
We're gonna
excited for
Shimon.
Budapest because I feel like that's gonna be a cool city.
I'm excited for that. Go
And,
back to my mother country.
I think we're just gonna target that audience as coffee club supporters. I think Budapest is gonna be our number 1 target now.
You think we got to learn Hungarian?
Yeah.
Fun fact. Well, not that fun of a fact. I could get Hungarian citizenship if I learnt to speak enough Hungarian to go to the embassy and like ask for it, because my grandfather is full Hungarian, so I could get citizenship.
Just learn that one phrase.
But
Can I
apparently,
please be Hungarian?
apparently it's like the hardest language. So I tried. I did the Duolingo. I couldn't make it through one session. It's too different.
So are Hungarians always hungry?
Probably.
They're hungry for more.
They make good food.
Yeah, I hear they make great food.
It's
Well,
pretty
that's gonna be exciting. I mean, like, that's another thing about this. We have back-to-back championships. We have Budapest, Paris, Tokyo.
There's some pretty sick cities.
Some pretty cool cities, you know. So, back to this love and the grind, boys.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, every World Championship is going to be hot.
Yeah. We
Will
just
Budapest
gotta,
be
Now
hot?
on, So,
Yeah.
probably.
I feel like they probably humid. I'm just talking
I
based
spent a
off
week in
nothing.
Budapest a few years ago and it was 35 degrees every day.
Oof.
Pretty hot.
Around the same time as World Champs.
Yeah, July, August, I think.
I feel like if they have them later in the year, which Budapest is, that generally means it's a hot place
Yeah.
to try avoid the main heat. But awesome. I'm just making that up as well.
Should we talk about what it's going to take to get there?
Oh yes, that's the other big thing that came out. Which this makes no sense to me. World Athletics. Man, we're really giving it to World Athletics.
I mean,
today.
Lord Coe is going to be hearing from us.
Yeah. Yeah. So give us the rundown, George, on the qualifying situation.
So, from an anonymous source, that also seems to be the internet a little bit, as of this morning,
Yeah.
from ClicksMix.
Because the 10Ks just got announced.
But I was chatting in Eugene with someone in the know, and it seems like there's going to be some freshened up standards for next year based on the original, when the world ranking system came out a couple of years ago. More than Doha? No, after Doha.
I think it came out during 2019, but I don't think it was implemented until Tokyo.
Oh yeah, that's right. So the original idea for the world ranking was that half the fields at World Champs would be filled by time qualifiers, and half the fields would be qualified through world rankings, and that was why the standards came down a lot for Tokyo. But the response to that was everyone just started to run faster and went for the standards anyway.
Yeah, everyone obviously wants to get a standard and have it certain rather than leaving it up to freaking chance.
So there were a few events, so the 10K men's, 800 men, that didn't have a single world ranking qualifier, and similarly the 5K and the 1500 had maybe 4 or 5 on each side. And so word on the street is that they want to stick to the 50-50 rule, which means they're going to have to make these standards way harder. And so they're going to be like 27:10, like 13:06 maybe.
Yeah,
so
they're
like
gonna be
3:33 in the
they're gonna be
1500.
so quick.
Based on like that's halfway down the descending order list of qualifiers, like 144 mid or something, and they weren't going to be released until the end of the year, which means, and people that don't make worlds and people that do make worlds spend kind of the second half of the summer once the window opens trying to get standards early because it's super convenient, and people that have already raced after the window supposedly opened like think they have standards right now. And
It's crazy.
World Athletics hasn't announced them yet, and they weren't going to announce them to November. Apparently that's come forward, and it's now going to be in August. But there's people that think they have standards that maybe don't. I guess it's not confirmed yet, but I think it's pretty much confirmed.
Yeah, it's so silly to think that the qualifying window could be open, but the qualifiers aren't set. Like, you should just be. That just sounds
It's
like
crazy.
terrible, like business ethics, like practice. It should just be you have to make the standards official before the period is open.
Well, luckily they have us, because now we're telling you guys here that these are the standards.
Yeah.
But
1306.
how's this going to affect, like USA, for example, right?
I think
Usually
Jack
they
Ray
have
knows.
top 3
Yeah.
have the qualifier, right, and then they just go automatically. But like for events like, say, like the 1500, maybe you only have like 2 guys have the 333. Like the ranking is, it's gonna be
Well,
so weird.
that's what
now.
happened this year.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's gonna happen more now, so it's gonna be much more interesting.
That's true. They wanted to.
Because Gregoric was 6th, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the 1500 meter final, qualified because he had the standard. But now, if he didn't have the standard, would he still qualify for ranking?
Yeah, if he was within the ranking.
But
yeah.
but then maybe there's people in front of him who were in front of him and maybe even close to his rank or above his rank.
Well, that would have happened this year if there was someone who was in the ranking that was ahead of him.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So
they
even if he had the standard,
they would have got picked in front of him.
even if
still.
he had the standard.
Yeah.
The standard
okay.
didn't trump the ranking.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, yeah, it's just gonna be interesting to see how that like plays out in people's heads, because people are
Well,
gonna be like
It's gonna be really weird for us because our national championships are
in April.
so long before the rankings are set. So normally, New Zealand's slightly different because it's a little bit less competitive. No offense, New Zealand,
None taken.
but for Australia, what it's been like for Ollie, for example, and we saw it like play out this year as well, going back and winning nationals and having the qualifier when you do that to try and secure that automatic qualifier is pretty important for people. That's the only way you can get that certainty that, yeah, I'm going to World Champs, is by doing that. And it's just going to be so much less people having it and just way more people getting in the rankings. So it's...
Well, less people run the
Huh?
national championships. That's how it's gonna go. Like most
Yeah.
people will be like, am I gonna try and get one spot, have the standard beforehand now, because they said you have to have it before now with the Abbey situation. Or am I going to skip the championships, train hard, go to better races, get my ranking up and run the standard there and then hope I get picked? Most people will take the latter option because it helps their season to be able to progress that way anyway for world champs. If you go and try and peak for a national championship, it's great, but you might not get that spot. You might already have the auto qualifier. The questions just keep popping up in my head of like, how the fuck are we going to do this? But
Yeah.
it will be interesting to see how this turns out for particularly for Australia, how
Yeah.
they deal with the new standards and like their qualification process. It could even change again.
Yeah, it'll be so interesting to see just how fast everyone runs now, because obviously like what happened in the last year, now races are just paced to hit the qualifier because everyone wants a freaking qualifier. People don't want to wait until 2 weeks or 3 weeks before Worlds to find out if they made it in the rankings.
Yeah.
But they can't do this forever. There's going to have to be some point where it equalizes out.
Keep putting them down and down. Well, in
Wait.
some events, I just looked at the women's 800. They did have the men's 800, not a single ranking qualifier. Women's 800, I think 24 people qualified on ranking.
That's so interesting.
So like some of them, the times seem like are already in the right spot.
Yeah.
Well, the 800 women's 1:59.5,
Five,
right?
which was so, which
And
is
a
so
girl
good.
that made the 800 meter final at World Champs went 1:59.6, so she didn't even have the standard.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
that
her
was
PB,
crazy.
she's
The
the best.
Slovenian girl.
The Slovenian girl.
Yeah,
So that
it's really
that
impressive.
shows you what they're trying to do.
Yeah, that's what they
But
want.
that's why ranking is good, because someone like Mario, without the standard, can come fourth in the 1500. So the
I
rank-
agree.
the-
Yeah.
the ranking system is good. It just needs like tweaking, because and like people apparently Sean McGordy's going to double in the Bahamas
Yeah.
at NACAX 5 and 10K
To get that cheeky qualifier.
just because there's like 3 points out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're not saying it's necessarily bad. The system, it's more like one thing.
Dysfunctional right now.
It's more just going to be interesting how it affects the sport and how things change. And one thing that is bad is not having qualifiers announced when the qualification period is open. That's probably they shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But the actual idea of rankings is a good idea. We could also talk about that forever, and I think we have, on the pros and cons of the ranking system and how it's kind of biased. But
Yeah, I think instead of the times just coming down and down, I think they'll just come down and then maybe they should get rid of them.
yeah,
Just be like,
well,
everyone
that's
will-
that's
I
what
think
the goal was.
Everyone will just qualify in ranking.
That's what the goal was to go full rankings eventually. So I guess they're still trying to achieve it. So it'll be
That's right, we're
interesting.
just going to go qualify on the roads, actually.
Yeah. Well, that's also ridiculous, is that you can run a 10K time on the roads and the 5K, I think. I'm
Yeah.
not certain, but you can run those times on the roads. And
We
there are
found
some
like
really
a cheeky downhill one.
yeah, there's some really fast road
Good
races
super
out there.
shoes.
There's some good super shoes out there on the roads. You run pretty quick. So yeah, that's that. That's mostly it for the podcast stuff. We do have some brief travel and race plans this week. So just so everyone's in the awares, I'm going to Memphis on Wednesday and racing the 3K at the Ed Murphy Classic on Friday. And then the day after that, I head up to St. Moritz to do some training before hopefully some good European races. So I'm back at it, back in the racing saddle this week, which will be fun. Ollie, you go to Europe on the same day, is that correct?
That is correct. I
Bef-
head to London for Commonwealth Games. So that's going to be, I think I get into the village on the 2nd of August, race on the 4th.
We get to celebrate colonialization.
Celebrate being colonizers.
Colonization.
But that'll be good. And then
Is that
Let's
actually
go.
wait, why do we?
It's just celebration of the Commonwealth, man.
Which is just all countries that got colonized.
It's just England. We just
Yeah,
love
it's
England, man.
celebrating England.
We love
the
Queen.
UK. Yeah, it's so good.
All hail.
That's what it is.
All
Yeah.
hail the Lizard King. Yeah, and then I'll head to Lausanne. I got confirmed for that.
Well, that's not for quite a while, right?
Yeah,
You come
But-
back
I come back.
to hang out with Gus.
Gus is going to be upset because I got to go again.
Yeah.
But, just a Gus update. He's doing great. He had diarrhea for the past 5 days because when I leave,
Seriously?
yeah, when I leave, he has this thing where he gets really like self-conscious about himself. Like, does my owner even love me? And when I get back, he literally just wakes me up at 3 a.m. every morning to go out and do a really, really interesting poo, and then I go back to bed and he just goes back to sleep
Yeah.
and then sleeps the rest of the morning. So, but now he had a good morning this
We're back.
morning, didn't you, bud? No,
Right in
no
time for you
diarrhea.
to leave in 2 days.
And then he doesn't know that I'm leaving in 2 days, so
Don't tell him.
he's going to be upset. But yeah, Gus is doing well. He's excited about how Coffee Club's been going. So that's a Gus update.
Yeah. And then George.
I'll follow Ollie to Birmingham a couple of days later because I race a couple of days later.
Yep.
And that's it really. And
Yeah.
then no plans after that.
So our next few episodes, will be on the road, back on over the interwebs, I imagine. But we'll keep them going. Keep them going strong, hopefully. So, yeah. Also, our intern Avery is gone. He left yesterday, did the 17-hour drive back home. We're going to miss him dearly. So thank you, Avery, for all your interning that you did. He didn't actually really do any interning. We just called him that. He just hung out mostly and ate. I don't even want to talk about what he ate. He has a really bad diet. But he was a good vibe. He was a good calming presence, great vibes. So we love you, Avery, and we'll see. Hopefully next year he'll be back. But yeah, I think that's it for episode 45 of the Coffee Club Pod. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you guys next week.